The football world never sleeps, and this week it has delivered a storm of headlines that feel less like sports news and more like a script written for pure drama. From Messi's American dream and his staggering new deal, to Chelsea's internal chaos with Raheem Sterling and Enzo Maresca, to Manchester United's coaching saga spiraling out of control, it feels as if every major club is trapped in its own soap opera. Even José Mourinho has stepped back into the spotlight in a way that almost feels supernatural, while Pep Guardiola once again proves he is the master of mind games. It's one of those moments where football reminds you it's more than just a game. It's a theater where pride, ego, and legacy are constantly colliding. The biggest story of the week begins in Miami, where Lionel Messi is on the verge of signing what could very well be the final contract of his illustrious career. Negotiations are in the closing stages, with only minor details left to iron out and Major League Soccer expected to rubber stamp the deal soon. The contract would stretch beyond the 2026 World Cup, a tournament that will be held in the United States and could serve as Messi's last dance in competitive football. It's staggering to think that even at this stage, the Argentine genius is still posting ridiculous numbers, 28 goals and 13 assists in 2025 alone. The salary is said to exceed $20 million per year, but this isn't just about money. It's about Messi remaining the face of the league at its most critical juncture, about Inter Miami becoming the final chapter of one of football's greatest stories, and about the sport itself tying its future growth in America to the man who has defined an era. The legend is not fading quietly. He is choosing to go out on his own terms, ensuring his shadow looms over the game even as his career winds down. Yet for all the talk of Messi's money, the conversation about football's richest man took an unexpected twist. Because it isn't Messi, it isn't Ronaldo, and it isn't Neymar. It's Faik Bolkaya, a name that barely registers in mainstream football but carries a fortune that dwarfs even the biggest icons of the game. His net worth is an astonishing £20 billion, thanks not to what he has done on the pitch but to who he is off it. The nephew of the Sultan of Brunei, one of the wealthiest monarchs on the planet. For comparison, Neymar is valued at around £1.3 billion, Ronaldo at $1 billion, and Messi at $800 million. Bolkaya's wealth is so outrageous it almost makes the footballing numbers feel insignificant. He may never be remembered for Champions League nights or Ballon d'Ors, but his presence is a reminder that in a world where talent is everything, money can still rewrite the script. From wealth, we pivot to fate, and fate has delivered one of the most poetic stories football has ever written. On September 20th, 2000, a young José Mourinho managed his very first game as head coach of Benfica. He was a rookie then, hungry and unproven. Exactly 25 years later, to the day, Mourinho returned to Benfica as their coach once more. A full circle, a storybook loop that almost defies belief. After 2 decades of winning Champions Leagues, conquering England, Italy, Spain, and defining an entire generation with his charisma and controversy, the special one is back where it all began. The timing is surreal. A quarter of a century apart on the exact same date, Mourinho's career feels like it has been signed and sealed by destiny itself. He left as an apprentice. He returns as a master, a living legend, now tasked with beginning again at the very club where his myth was born. But while Mourinho steps into destiny, Raheem Sterling has stepped straight into disaster. At Chelsea, his situation has deteriorated into a full-blown crisis. Excluded from the Club World Cup squad, denied moves to West Ham and Fulham, Sterling now finds himself training in isolation with Axel Disasi, separated from the main group. Insiders claim his downfall has been fueled by his own demands, his desire to stay in London, his refusal to take a pay cut, and a stubbornness that has left him stranded. Troy Deeney, never one to mince words, argued that Sterling has no right to complain when he rejected exits himself. Enzo Maresca, meanwhile, made it painfully clear that he has no place for the winger, even mocking the notion of Sterling's suffering by reminding everyone that his own father, a fisherman, worked much harder. For a player who joined Chelsea in 2022 for $47.2 million and produced a return of 34 goals and assists in 62 games, the decline has been brutal. His loan at Arsenal ended with just 7 starts. Now he faces the prospect of 4 months without competitive action, hoping for a January lifeline. But that lifeline may never come. If Maresca keeps succeeding, Sterling's gamble to outlast him will look like career suicide. Meanwhile, Manchester United is burning, and the fire is being stoked from the inside. Ruben Amorim, the manager tasked with dragging the club back to glory, has found himself in open war with owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe. After a dismal start to the season, Ratcliffe wanted changes. Journalists asked Amorim whether he would abandon his beloved 3-4-3 system. His answer? A flat, defiant no. Not even the Pope, he said, could make him change it. It wasn't just a refusal. It was a declaration of war. He called it his life, his job, his responsibility, and he made it clear he would rather fall with his system than bend to external pressure. It was the kind of stubbornness that electrifies fans but terrifies boards. To make matters even more complicated, Harry Maguire came out in defense of his coach, insisting the system wasn't the problem and placing the blame on the players instead. Suddenly, what should have been a tactical conversation has become a battle of egos, with Amorim doubling down on his identity and Ratcliffe left with a manager who refuses to be dictated to. And then, like vultures circling, the rumors of successors began. Mauricio Pochettino, the former Tottenham and Chelsea boss and current US national team coach, has been thrust into the conversation as the top candidate. Alongside him are names like Oliver Glasner, Marco Silva, Andoni Iraola, and Gareth Southgate. But it is Pochettino who looms largest. He knows the Premier League, he knows how to handle pressure, and he is available if the axe falls. The question now is simple. Does United have the stomach to endure Amorim's defiance, or will they take the easier path and turn to someone more malleable? The outcome could define not only the manager's career, but the future direction of a club that has lived in chaos for too long. Elsewhere in Europe, Barcelona and PSG's Champions League clash will not be played at the legendary Camp Nou, as the stadium remains under reconstruction. Instead, the match will take place at the Estadio Olympic Luis Companies, with its 55,000 capacity cut to just 27,000 under UEFA regulations. It is another reminder of how far the club has to go before reclaiming its home, and each home fixture at the Olympic is a bittersweet reminder of what has been lost and what is yet to come. In England, Everton are moving to lock down stability where they can. Jordan Pickford, their #1 goalkeeper since 2017, is close to signing a contract extension that will keep him at the club until 2028. At 31, Pickford remains central to the Toffees' plans, having made 40 appearances last season with 13 clean sheets. It is a move that secures continuity for a club constantly battling instability. And finally, Pep Guardiola has reminded everyone why he is a master manipulator of minds. Asked what he would say to his old assistant Mikel Arteta if Arsenal were to win the league, Guardiola delivered a deliciously sarcastic answer. He said it would only be because Arsenal spent money, not because of coaching brilliance. He compared it to Liverpool, suggesting titles are bought, not earned. Yet in the very same breath, he offered genuine praise, pointing out Arsenal's steady rise, their defensive solidity, and their smart transfer decisions. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Diminish your rival with one hand, build them up with the other, and leave them unsure whether to be flattered or insulted. Arteta, to his credit, responded with grace, calling Pep the best coach in the world and reflecting on the lessons he learned under him. What could have been a war of words instead became a strange duet of respect and rivalry, showing that in football, even mind games can have an elegance to them. So here we are, Messi ready to sign off on his American dream, Sterling staring into the abyss at Chelsea, Mourinho completing a cosmic circle with Benfica, Amorim daring to defy Ratcliffe at Old Trafford, while Pochettino waits in the wings. Barcelona still wandering in search of home, Pickford securing Everton's stability, and Guardiola smiling as he toys with his rivals. Football isn't just about goals and tactics. It's about power, pride, destiny, and defiance. And this week, it gave us a little bit of everything.